The good news is that Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has taken a very timely decision, and that also within days, which is to approach the IMF. The other good news is that our Minister of Finance and Revenue, Dr. Miftah Ismail, has successfully taken us back into IMF's extended fund facility. It will be our 23rd such arrangement since we became a member in 1950. Now, the other good news is that the IMF has agreed to field a mission to Pakistan in May to resume discussions over policies for completing the 7th EFF review. IMF has also acknowledged that Dr. Miftah Ismail has requested the IMF to extend the arrangement through June 2023, which will be a signal of their commitment to address the already existing challenges and achieve the program objectives. Now, the fact is that the PTI government left behind a budgetary deficit nearing 6 trillion rupees. It is the largest ever in Pakistan's 75-year economic history. The other fact is that the PTI government left behind a trade deficit nearing $50 billion. Now, this is the largest ever in Pakistan's 75-year trading history. As a consequence of gross fiscal mismanagement over the past 4 years, Dr. Miftah Ismail would have to raise some $10 billion in the following 12 weeks to fill the current account deficit and service international debt between now and June 2022. That remains an uphill task, but the government has surely taken the first step towards meeting this challenge. Now, the IMF statement on Pakistan says that they had a very productive meeting with Finance Minister of Pakistan, Miftah Ismail, and they also discussed economic developments and policies under the extended fund facility. Now, to be certain, there are many slips between cup and the lip. The IMF will field a mission in May. There will be technical discussions. The Ministry of Finance will have take prior actions. This would be followed by a staff level agreement. Now, the staff level agreement will be sent to the IMF board. Only after the board's approval will we be able to get a disbursement of $1 billion or probably $1.5 billion. That depends. Now, the IMF statement on Pakistan also said that they have agreed that prompt action is needed to reverse the unfunded subsidy. This also refers to the landmines laid by the PTI government. They said that on February 28, the Oil and Gas Regulatory Authority, OGRA, also sent a summary to hike the price of petrol by rupees 55 per litre and the price of diesel by 68 rupees per litre. Now, the ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan made a purely political decision and rejected that summary. The ex-Prime Minister announced a reduction in the price of petrol and diesel by up to 10 rupees. Instead of increasing the price, they decreased the price. So what happened was that is rupees 100 billion a month landmine. So that's 100 billion rupees that the government does not have at all. That's the unfunded subsidy that has to go now. The bad news is that if the unfunded subsidy goes, the price of petrol and diesel will go up to rupees 200 a litre or even higher. The bad news also is that petrol and diesel price at 200 a litre means that a much higher rate of inflation. A much higher rate of inflation means further devaluation of the rupee, and that will also mean a higher rate of interest. We will be in a vicious cycle, and the vicious cycle will have a harsh political cost as well. Just when the opposition is bent upon street agitation, and just when there's an electricity shortage of 7,500 megawatt, just when a heat wave is around the corner. So this is Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's first major economic trial. In all fairness, there isn't a country in the world that is buying expensive petroleum products from the international market and selling the same cheaper in the domestic market except for Pakistan. So things are going to be a lot more expensive once the deal is done with the IMF, and we should all be prepared for that. In all likelihood, things are going to get a lot more expensive, and we should all be prepared for that. If history is any guide, PMLN-led governments have had a higher rate of economic growth. A higher rate of economic growth means higher per capita income, and a higher per capita income will enable us to bear a higher rate of inflation.